Major League Baseball's decision to pull the All-Star game and draft from Atlanta has drawn more eyes to the newly passed voter laws in Georgia. Republicans have no issue with the new laws, and Democrats aren't feeling the same. Regardless, the side sports are once again playing an impact on the movement of voting reform. Here's Fox 61's Dave Puglisi with more.
We've all heard the narrative, shut up and dribble. It's targeted at athletes who decide to cross the line from sport into politics. But like it or not, it's been done historically for years. And experts say that the move to take the MLB All-Star game out of Atlanta is just an example of that.
People clearly aren't going to stand for this sort of soft coup to take away their right to vote.
Making one's right to vote more difficult is what has civil activists up in arms over SB 202 recently passed in Georgia. Legislators in the state call the laws common sense, but those opposed have called them a form of voter suppression. Major League Baseball then made a decision to pull the 2021 All-Star Game and Major League Draft from Atlanta in protest.
Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community.
Consequences that could mean a projected $90 million that the All-Star Game would have generated for the city. The MLB has traditionally been more reluctant than other major sports to take political stance, but experts believe the pressure from the players and corporate sponsors became too much.
It's really the corporate sponsorships and the corporate dollars that really swayed this decision.
Sports and politics have mixed for decades. From Muhammad Ali to LeBron James, athletes have used their platform to push for social justice. The voice amplified now more than ever by social media.
LeBron James alone has 50 million on Twitter. And so what LeBron James says matters to millions of people.
Connecticut has not said they would do anything that would take away power from the Secretary of State as the laws in Georgia describe. Instead, Connecticut has talked about expanding voter rights by increasing early and mail-in voting. Hanley believes other states proposing Georgian-type voter laws may see the growing disdain from the public and balk at the pitch.
These votes do matter, should matter. But if laws change that, then I think fewer people will vote, and that will lead to outcomes that can't help but harm democracy.
Hanley believes that the next wave of social activism could come from college athletes, players who have a growing influence among their peers who could have a financial impact on major programs by deciding to take their talents elsewhere. In New Haven, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.